Colorado head coach Deion Sanders finally addressed the noise around all of the social media hoopla, and I think some of what he said was needed.
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Buffs. I am your host, Kevin Borber. Today's episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. Game off, we got to talk more about Monopoly Go. This fast-paced game lets you team up with friends for tournaments to unlock awesome prizes like unique stickers for trading, cool playing pieces, and hilarious emojis for taunting your friends. So download Monopoly Go now for free on Google Play or the App Store. Game on. We are also brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day for free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Who doesn't love free things? And we're free, and we got all the insight you need right here. Thank you guys for tuning in. Like I said, I'm Kevin Borba, and we are talking about Coach Prime, the social media hoopla, the disaster that was a PR week for Colorado this past week. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, there was a story, and I talked about this a few different times, so go check it out last week. But in short, there was a story by The Athletic that was written about the players who were essentially asked to leave the program or shown the door, whether or not they were cut. They were shown the door. There was around 60 guys that left the program when Coach Prime took over, and there was a story interviewing a couple of them who landed on their feet at their next spot. So it was like Chase Sowell, who was the leading receiver for ECU, or it was Xavier Smith, who was an FCS All-American defensive back. And they talked about how it felt to kind of be pushed out the door, what their experience was. And a lot of people got upset, especially at one Mr. Xavier Smith, because his quotes were used in a social media post by The Athletic and kind of, I guess, set him up to be the victim of toxic social media harassment, because a lot of those Colorado fans that aren't really, I don't want to say always thinking of other people and only care about the Colorado aspect of things, they went after him. They attacked him. They attacked his teammates, and Coach Prime appeared to get in on the mix, but he allegedly, according to him, did not. So if you guys don't remember, a social media account posted the stats of a player who was defending Smith, and Coach Prime quote tweeted it and said, "Lord Jesus," LAWD, Lord Jesus. And it seemed like he was making fun of him. It seemed like he was mocking his stats, and it seemed like he was kind of shooting down the player. Well, he addressed that, and he addressed the notion that he doesn't feel there was any mistreatment of those guys. And whether or not that's true, I think he needed to address both of these things, because one, he looked like a real, not a nice guy. He always talks about wanting to propel guys, young athletes, to the next level. He always talks about supporting them. So when there's a tweet and it's him kind of looking like he's making fun of a young athlete who probably looks up to him or looked up to him at one point, probably doesn't look up to him now. And it kind of, a lot of people were like, what is wrong with you? Like, why would you do that? And then the same thing with Xavier Smith. I think realistically, it's always going to be a he said, they said type of thing, because Coach Prime said he didn't kick anybody off. He kind of wanted he just wanted to test if they wanted to compete. All those guys, there's like 50 guys. A lot of them have come forward and talked about how brutal it was to be a part of the program as a player from the previous regime. So the only people that really know what happened were the ones in that building. That's what it comes down to. I'm not going to call anyone a liar, but when there's that many people coming forward and saying that this is what happened or this is what didn't happen, it's hard to argue with. Again, those are what those guys experienced. But back to the tweet, Coach Prime was talking to some social media content creators and said, y'all know what Lord Jesus means. That means, dang, you, and then he was talking about the person who tweeted the stat, really went at this cat. And they took it as I was shooting at the kid. I don't play shooting at no kid. I was saying, dang, Dalvin ain't playing, y'all better leave him alone. That's really what I was like, Lord Jesus. And I think that was taken wrong. I think that was taken sideways. And then he said, later in the conversation, he said that he apologized to the people that thought he was talking to the kid. So that's nice, because he actually apologized, because sometimes not even our intent. It doesn't matter if we didn't intend to do something, because you can't just be like, well, I didn't mean for you to hurt your feelings, so I'm not going to apologize for hurting your feelings. Like, you can't just be mad at people or discredit people's feelings. Like, if you hurt someone's feelings, even if you didn't mean to, you still hurt their feelings. It doesn't matter if that was the intention. You can explain yourself and be like, you know what, I was I don't know, when I made that joke about you, like if you guys were making a joke about my beard being gone because I got a new razor, new beard trimmer, and messed up the setting. Thought it was in inches, it was in millimeters, so I went down to a 1, lost the beard. If you guys were making fun of me, like, come on, Kev, you got to know better than that, I would totally understand that. It might hurt my feelings because I feel like I look like a thumb now, but either way, I would totally get it. But if you were just coming at me with no explanation and we're like, this dude looks disgusting, oh, you might hurt my feelings. Even if you didn't mean to, that's exactly how I could take it. So I think that was good on him to apologize for that. But then what he talked about with the Xavier Smith stuff, I kind of appreciated that he apologized, but I also think there's a lot of passing the blame on, which I mean, it is what it is. Again, I talked about this last week. If anyone thought that 60 players, 6-0, were going to leave a football team and we were never going to hear from those guys again, you are delusional. I have some beachfront property in the middle of Arizona for you to sell. I have some beachfront property in Nevada for you to buy, because if you thought 60 players were essentially going to be cut and or left the team by their own choice because of a certain coach who happens to be one of the best football players of all time, if you thought that storyline was not going to be touched on again, I don't know what to tell you, because that is baffling to me that people thought it was just going to go away. So Coach Prime essentially is blaming the article for all of the hatred that Xavier Smith got, rather than kind of condemning the people that attacked him. Realistically, I don't think anyone should have gone after Xavier Smith. He shared his feelings. He shared what he experienced. That's what he was asked to do. Now, in hindsight, could he have known that people were probably going to come at him? Yes. But that doesn't mean that he shouldn't voice his opinion. That doesn't mean he shouldn't voice his experience. The way people respond to things is more of an indictment on those people rather than an indictment on him. So Coach Prime said, this is what's strange to me. That great weekend, which he's talking about the spring game weekend, with the festivities, great recruiting, million recruits up there that could flat out play and change the complexity of your program. And right after that, somebody goes and finds a young brother. They talked about another young brother, or talked about another brother. I guess he's not calling himself young. Is that okay? How's that okay? You go and find someone that badmouths us that ain't been with us. Why aren't you talking about the team you're with or the team you're ready to go to? Talking about Xavier Smith. And how can this gentleman not know that you're being used? Because now you're going to get used again. Now the fans getting ready to jump on you, and you ain't built like that mentally and emotionally. You're not prepared for that onslaught. So you got to be careful with that. And that's the sad thing about it. You're not built for that kind of stuff, man. Like, I don't do that. Like, don't do that. And then he later said, no one mistreats nobody, man. Like, we don't do that. I don't condone that. Y'all been around me. Y'all know how I get down. I don't mistreat anybody. I don't play that. I don't condone that. So, I mean, and that was in reference to, according to Coach or Uncle Neely, the accusations about the program being cutting people and mistreating people. Again, Xavier Smith probably knew that it was going to go down like that. I think he kind of wanted to get his story out there. I think he wanted to bring attention to it. And obviously, when a reporter approaches you, a lot of these guys don't get approached a lot. Like, he went to Austin P and he's going to UTEP next year. I don't think he's going to get a lot of opportunities to get heavy media coverage. I don't think he's going to get a lot of opportunities to kind of tell his story. So someone from The Athletic coming to him and being like, hey, I'm really interested in your story. Would you care to share? Every player is going to take that opportunity. Also, for the people that attacked him and his teammates or whatever, you guys need to relax. It's kind of disgusting. There's no need for it. If you want to attack players for not having the best stats, I beg you to go look at some of the guys. Like, I'm not attacking guys, but two rights don't make a wrong. Go look at some of the guys that Colorado brought in this portal cycle. Not all of them were starting caliber players last year. Just put it that way. So there's no need to attack these young men. I'm glad Coach Prime apologized. I do think his, approach to talking about the story was an interesting one. I see where he's coming from his perspective. I don't know if I agree with it, but I see where he's coming from. And so I think that needed to be addressed. I kind of just wish that he would go out and tell his followers and fans to not attack these young men, because I think if it came from his mouth or his Twitter account, I think they would take it seriously. I think the fact that no one's really said anything to them is why they continue to attack people and why they take like a mob mentality. And there's really no need for that in college football. There's really no need for that in sports in general. These guys are all trying to pursue a dream. Everyone has a different path, and let's just agree to put it that way. When we come back, we're going to be talking about Colorado's newest transfer portal edition. This episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by our sponsors over at LinkedIn. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for your role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals that you can't find anywhere else. Even those who are actively searching for a new job, who aren't actively searching for a new job, might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and might not have the time or resources to hire. LinkedIn is constantly finding ways to make the process easier. They even just launched a feature that helps you write job descriptions, making the process even easier and quicker. 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. Appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day, making me your first listen of the day. We are free and available wherever you get your darn podcast. So thank you guys for tuning in, like I said. By the way, are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day and you have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news. Streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Whew, let's dive in. We have a new Colorado Buffalo on the helm, or in the transfer portal class, and it is one that it was needed. It was one that I think kind of went under the radar, and one that realistically, the more Colorado gets of guys like this, the better they could do. Colorado went out and landed a corner out of Fordham, I believe is how you say it. And they needed him bad. They needed him to kind of contribute to adding depth. They needed him to replace some of the losses they have in the portal, in just everything in general. They lose Amarion Cooper. They lose Jaden Milner-Jones. They lose Cormani McClain. So it's like, who's going to back up Travis Hunter, Preston Hodge, DJ McKinney? Who's going to push them? Who's going to step into this role where it's like, we need another corner who could come in, who could play right away, who could also may not mind sitting or developing. And his name is Ivan Yates. And he went to Fordham this past season, and he had quite the year. So this is a little bit about him. He played in all 13 games, had a career high 40 tackles, 1 tackle for a loss, 5 pass deflections. And then he also had 3.5 tackles, or in his 4 years, excuse me. I was going to read you his whole stats. It's going to get confusing. In his 4 years, he had 37 appearances, 93 tackles, 3.5 tackles for a loss, 1 sack, 1 pick, and 13 passes defended. Entered the portal on December 14th, so he's been in there for a hot minute. Played high school football at Roswell High in Georgia. He was unranked in the 2020 cycle, and then he had offers from SMU, Air Force, Liberty, South Alabama, but instead chose to go to Furman. I think I said Fordham. He's from Furman, excuse me. So what is Colorado getting in a guy like Ivan Yates? Well, it's not always about going out and getting someone who's going to start right away. This is the perfect kind of guy that comes in and provides depth for your team. This is the perfect kind of guy that provides a lot of depth to sort of, I guess, push for a starting role, or push. Like if someone's injured, it's like, you know what? Ivan's there. We got this. Like think of Jaden Milner-Jones last year. Or we have Amarion Cooper, we have Travis Hunter, and we're in a bind. And both of those young guys stepped in and stepped up right away. I think he could kind of be in that same role. And he's got some pretty decent size to him. He was clocked at almost 21 miles per hour last year, which I think is a pretty big deal. I feel like that's pretty quick. He's 6 foot 180, offers some size, some speed, and I think he'll translate to that defense quite well. Get to learn from Deion Sanders, Robert Livingston, and it's going to be a big deal. I think it's a big addition, not a big deal. I guess it's a big deal. Big additions are a big deal. So yeah, very good get for Colorado. I think that secondary is looking a lot better now. I was a little worried. I still think they could use one more, and they did have a corner from LSU visiting. And realistically, he's someone that also I think could be a potential positive addition for them. Jeremiah Hughes was expected to, after a stint at UCLA, went to um, LSU, and so he is now someone that Colorado is pursuing. He is someone. Let me pull up his stats. Jeremiah Hughes, because again, the more depth, the better. You get a guy who, if you get another couple corners, it looks a lot better. Sorry, I think I said he spent this past season at UCLA. Started LSU, had 6 total tackles, three solo, 3 assists. He's a freshman out of Vegas. Again, another young guy comes in, could kind of sit and develop, learn from Travis Hunter. 6 foot, 187, good size, possibly a really good addition. So look out for Colorado. I think they're not done in the portal just yet, and it'll be really interesting to see what kind of moves they continue to make. When we come back, we're going to be talking about baby Gronk. This episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by our sponsors over at Monopoly Go. All right, game off. We got to pause here to talk more about Monopoly Go. I know what you're saying. Flag on the play. You've already talked about that, but there is just so much good stuff in this game. And Monopoly Go, you could team up with friends for time tournaments where you work together to build up each other's boards. The more you win together, the more awesome prizes you unlock. And there's so much to get. You could get unique stickers. You could trade with friends to complete albums for big prizes. Cool new playing pieces to travel with boards, with hilarious emojis for taunting friends when you smash your buildings or heist their vaults. Plus, Monopoly Go feels new and exciting every day with constantly changing tournaments and challenges. And there's always new timed events that help you win big, like massive multipliers for everything you win or rent frenzies. There's always something fun to discover in Monopoly Go, so get off the bench and go download it now for free on Google Play or the App Store. Game on. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. I appreciate you guys for tuning in every single day, making me your first listen of the day. Sorry, losing my train of thought because this next story is a little bizarre. It's a little weird, but that's just kind of been this kid's vibe, and I don't know if it's necessarily the kid or the father, but I'm pretty sure it's the father. Baby Gronk, internet sensation, has released his top 30 schools, and it features Alabama, USC, LSU, Oregon, Ole Miss, Notre Dame, Texas, Florida, Florida State, Colorado, Ohio State, North Carolina, Nebraska. Pretty much every school that you could imagine is in this top 30. Now, I find this a little weird, and the reason I want to talk about it is because I think it's all fun and games to joke about this, and I've seen people write about it, but I definitely don't appreciate like this kid being exploited by his father, because I feel like that's kind of the situation there. And I know a lot of fans are going to be harassing him, but I just kind of want to remind people to kind of keep that in mind, that it's the father and not the actual kid. So there's no need to attack the kid. Now, I'm sure he's a nice little kid, nice kid. I think he's like in middle school or elementary school at this point. So I don't even really think that this is legit, but it'd be kind of cool to see if Coach Prime could like reach out to him and maybe talk to the father about this, because I don't know if you guys have seen it, but there's been a lot of like stories about the father reaching out to people and be like, "Hey, I want to be on your show." Like he did it to Bussin' with the Boys. He's done it to a bunch of podcasts where he's like, "Have us on your show, have us on your show." And he's like really hounded people to get the kid on the show, and like everything he says is scripted, and it's just really weird. I just want to remind people, don't harass the kid. I feel like that's kind of something we got to talk about first. But I think it would be kind of cool to see Coach Prime kind of give a message to the kid and the father that maybe would help the father realize that what he's doing isn't really necessary. But that's just my take on it. Obviously, I'm not a parent by any means. And obviously, we all have our own mentality on how things should be done. But I thought that was a little peculiar. You guys comment below what you think. I guess Colorado's in the mix for one of the future best recruits in the country, according to the father. So yeah, you guys comment below what you think. I appreciate you guys for tuning in to Locked On Bus. Appreciate you guys for your all the support, all the followings, all the comments that you guys give me. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow, and I will see you guys tomorrow.